Mahara Sinclaire is a former college teacher and a current retired boomer, or Zoomer. She encourages other boomers or Zoomers to follow her advice to laugh, scratch, quit work, and enjoy life. She says you don't need millions to go bigger and broaden your horizons. It is my pleasure to welcome Mahara Sinclaire to Studio 4 to tell us more with her The Laughing Boomer book.
Thank you, Fanny. Thank you for having me on the show.
So you say, in essence, that retirement is a state of mind, not necessarily a state of money.
Right. There are millions of people who are doing all sorts of wonderful things in this world, but they're not necessarily the typical things that require you to have a home and a large circle of activities in your hometown.
Why did you do it? How did you do it?
Well, what we did is about 3 years ago, we determined to sell our home. We sold our home in Vancouver, and we sold a lot of our stuff, quite a bit. You know, most of it, we got one bed and one Chesterfield, downsizing from a 3-bedroom home, and we put it all in storage. And we arranged with the BC Medical to be able to travel for 2 years and continue to be on the medical plan.
Smart.
And off we went. And we did it fairly quickly and serendipitously. We didn't really plan until we were actually on the road. We flew to South America and went from there.
So freeing.
Totally.
It takes guts to do it, as you know.
It does take guts, and that's what most people say. They're afraid, like they're in love with their chairs and their tables and their wall decors.
Right, but you go back to the future in a sense, because I don't know if you were a hippie, but we used to travel around in the little Volkswagen van and free as the breeze, and we didn't have much.
Totally, and we met literally thousands of young people, right? Finishing university, before university, Israelis coming out of the army who are doing just exactly what that and having a fabulous time.
And how many hours did you log, or how many years? 2 years?
3 years.
3
and
years.
We came back to Vancouver once a year for about a month and a half, and we traveled to about 46 countries.
Wow.
Most continents, haven't hit Antarctica yet, but most other continents.
Right. But didn't George, your husband, right?
Ken.
Ken.
Yeah.
George is her husband. I'll get it right.
Okay.
Anyway, but someone had a heart attack.
Yes. And very fortunately enough, we'd been traveling in the U.S. and we'd gone on a cruise from Chile to Panama, and he'd been eating half a pound of bacon a day. And
Great.
traveled through the U.S., arrived in Vancouver, and because we had advised them that we would be coming back within our 2-year time frame, had a heart attack in Vancouver.
Dear.
Very luckily.
But that is what you have to do, right?
Yes.
It's important if people are going to follow.
Correct. If you want to stay in the Canadian health system, you have to write them in advance and advise them, and you have a 2-year time frame. And you continue to pay your medical premiums and everything. And then when you walk back into Canada, you have to advise them a month in advance when you're coming home.
Right.
Then you're on the health system. Otherwise, you would have a 3-month delay, which in our case would have been disastrous.
Not good.
Yeah.
So somebody wrote, travel makes you more of who you are. And I think you found that.
Yes. We were both completely surprised. For example, we didn't realize what environmentalists we were until we go to these countries where people are so disrespectful of their environment. I didn't know I loved architecture and urban planning, and my husband is clearly more of a foodie than he ever thought he was.
Really?
Yes.
What did he do before?
He was a broker, stockbroker.
So stockbroker.
Yeah, and I was a university.
You're a university teacher. And music and all of that.
Yes.
And were there pensions? So you can rely on something?
Small pensions.
Small
not
pensions.
Huge. Yeah, no, not huge pensions. So some of it's the sale of the house, and also remembering that a lot of countries in the world are a lot less expensive than Canada.
That's so true. And less is more.
Totally.
Do you feel freer because you did that?
Oh, completely. And when you can live in another city that's really quite lovely, like we lived in Buenos Aires we're there for 6 months. It's very lovely. We met a circle of friends and enjoyed the food and this big city entertainment and the music and the tango and bird watching throughout Argentina. And really for much, much cheaper than you could live in Vancouver.
Sure.
So why not?
But before you took off, did you have a goal pie?
Surely, yeah. I mean, I think that when I write in my book about the goal pie, there's 6 or 8 different areas that most people focus on. And of most of the people we've talked to, travel seems to be the big goal. It's been mine since those hippie days. I've wanted to see the world, and
Sure.
it was really sort of an underlying goal for my whole life. And I had done some, but now, you know, this goal to some large degree has been fulfilled because
Right.
we've seen so many countries, and it's
No
been
kidding. But
wonderful.
goals like what? Like get
Well,
fit,
yeah.
stop smoking.
So most people have goals in 6 or 8 areas. They
Right.
have them in health, for one, and retirement's a fabulous time because many people aren't necessarily as fit as they'd like to be. And really, your life is about your health. Health is wealth. If you don't have your health.
Right. So
health,
one of your messages is go now.
Go
While
now.
you can still go.
Right. Well, you know, there's 3 stages of retirement. Go slow, and no go. And the big difference between, say, when you're 30 or 40, of course, people can have things happen at any age, but most people are way better, in way better health and much fitter at 60 than they are at 90.
For
So
sure.
if you want to climb up to Machu Picchu or walk around Petra or go through the Amazon jungle and do all these things, do it in your 50s and your 60s. And then when you're 90, you can arrive at the doorsteps of Paris and enjoy that, but it's a much milder, calmer
Exactly.
experience.
Just sip a cafe au lait
See,
and have a little
yes.
baguette.
Yes.
And that's it.
Oui, oui.
And let somebody else do the walking.
Yes.
But the biggest expense for you, is it the transportation part, electronics, what is it? Credit cards?
The biggest overall expense for the first year, we bought round-the-world tickets, which were about $5,000 each. But it took us, if you'd like to hear the itinerary, Quito, Rio, Buenos Aires, Sydney, in India, China, Istanbul, Amman, Jordan, Madrid, and back to Quito, all for $5,000. So really,
Yeah, really.
you know, really.
For 5,000.
5,000 for the air. And then we did some adventure travel trips, which were pretty, definitely adventure travel versus touring travel, sitting on a bus. They were hiking every day. So we went
Sure.
to India on a, bus, public transportation, Turkey, Morocco, and Egypt, Jordan. We did those with groups because we felt they were a little bit, more difficult. But they were mostly young people and mostly fairly adventuresome travel. Not the typical
Right.
tour bus travel, but walking and hiking. And
Sure,
doing all
and
those things, riding
really
camels
taking the city in. But to be able to live someplace for 6 months, you get to know the people, the culture,
yeah.
the language. How many languages do you speak?
I just speak Spanish a little bit. Not, I mean, enough to, I manage. And of course, studied French in school, so it does make a difference. But
and did you miss working?
I do actually. I
Or
like
do
to
you
work.
miss working?
Yeah, and I had written my book, but then I re-edited it, and then the whole process of publishing and doing the whole distribution process. So yeah, I actually still like working, and it's surprising that I do. But we've met also lots of digital nomads on the road.
Oh, I bet.
Who are working, generally have some financial background, but are financial sustenance, but are still working, making money on the road, and it's a fabulous way to live because you don't need to be in your hometown if you're a digital person.
And you said your husband was a broker.
Yeah, so he plays
So
the
he
market.
can play the market.
Totally.
We like that.
Yeah.
Especially if he hits big.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And another trip, another day.
Exactly. So,
What were the challenges for you to just get used to it?
well, some of the challenges, of course, are the planning, because we didn't plan really. So eventually the planning, it became quite a lot of work. And so and we've met people who were tired because they'd spent so much time planning. So you have to really learn to be a bit serendipitous and just learn to relax and let go. But, that's initially, what are we going to do here and there? So you just have to say, well, it'll evolve. And as you get to a place, if you don't know what's in the place, don't worry. Every city has its tourist attractions and its things available. So that whole point of being serendipitous is a bit important because you can't plan a year around the world trip. For me, it
Exactly.
would be
And some
impossible.
people just are not serendipitous,
Right.
There's
And
a word for them, but we
so,
won't say
yeah,
it on
right.
television. But
Well, yeah, you have to go with the flow.
you have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
And if you don't go with the flow, don't travel.
Right.
It's too hard.
Or do a different type of travel.
Perhaps.
There are some people who, if you want to be on a 100-day round-the-world cruise ship, well then, everything is nice and
Everything's
stable. And
taken
then
care of and-
Sure. That's great. And we've done quite a few cruises because they're, especially repositioning cruises, are amazing bargains.
They
and,
sure are.
Lots of fun, and you meet different people, and we use it almost as a relaxation. Like we're on this repositioning cruise for 6 days.
And you feel safe and you don't have to pack and unpack.
Yeah.
That's good. However, I have to say, I've only been on a couple of cruises, but when I get off the big ship, I want to stay where I am. And you have to kind of drag me back to the ship because you get into a lovely place as San Bart's or someplace like that. You say, I just like to stay here, but you can't because the big ship goes away.
That's true.
Yes,
That's true.
You'd have to fly home.
Yeah.
But cruising, I know a lot of people love.
For sure. Yeah, and so we've
that
just
whole
done
lifestyle. So whatever floats your boat, really.
Really, yeah. I mean, we've ridden on camels in Egypt and Africa and Jordan and slept in tents and slept in trains with a second-class train in India with 8 other people all around us and crying babies and, you know, quite uncomfortable, you know, situations. But really, that's what makes it rather than just living in a 5-star hotel. If you want to go from 5-star hotel to 5-star hotel, for one, you have to be fairly wealthy.
Sure.
You know,
oh, you do. And I have friends that only do that.
And great.
They have 2 duvets and a Fairmont hotel and a fine drink, and that's it. That's their travel, and it's okay.
Totally.
If you got cabillions, you can do that. Or if you have cabillions, you can ride on buses in Mexico. Why not?
Right. And I mean, we met many people doing all sorts of things. You know, if you're climbing up Machu Picchu, if you want to climb it, you have to climb it, and you can't be sitting in your 5-star hotel. And,
yeah, totally.
You know.
What do you want us to get from this? How do you want us to use the Laughing Boomer?
Well, the book is really looking at your personal interests, your values, your personality, your spouse's values, personality, your finances. A big one on home and possessions, about really stop focusing on home and possessions so much and start thinking about your life is not about things, but about experiences.
Right. Yeah. Sell the
And
car,
your
sell the
health.
art, sell the house, sell the furniture, keep the bed.
Yeah. Well, you can
Maybe
go back.
not.
Yeah, you can go back and buy new furniture. You can go back and, of course, you're going to keep, you know, your photograph albums and you know, your children's mementos. You know, but
let's hope.
Let's hope. But
Maybe
really,
not. Who would want to buy them?
At the end of your life, what are you looking at? You're looking at a life that you've lived to the fullest, that you've expressed your values, you've given back in some way, you've cared for others and for things, you have a broader perspective, you feel like you're a citizen of the world.
Right, and you die all worn out.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Totally.
Rather than too soon.
Totally.
Much better alternative, I think.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Have more fun.
Thank you.
Retired and inspired. The Laughing Boomer, Retire from Work, Gear Up for Living, is about travel and freedom and relocation, health, finances, options. Mahara Sinclaire.